This artist allegedly has not only traced artist work, but also traced ChatGPT's AI to sell as commissions. Let's get into this. So all of this starts with this thread posted by Let's Tapia Art. And Luz writes, artists and authors, I want to talk about a situation me and other artists at It's Lopez and at Toshia-san and others have been dealing with for the last 4 years. Beware of people not only tracing art, but also tracing from ChatGPT's AI to offer as commissions. Please read the thread. This is not an invitation to send hate to this person. It's just to alert everyone of this type of theft, as this is not the only case we have encountered. So here we have a bunch of side by sides. So this is some Twilight art made by Luz, where we have Bella writing, "It's like diamonds, you're beautiful." And this is when Bella like sees Edward sparkling for the first time. And Edward says, "Beautiful. This is the skin of a killer, Bella." And these are like popular lines from Twilight. And so this is allegedly traced off of ChatGPT's AI, where it is the same lines. Now, again, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, okay, like, the concept is similar, but this is like a concept that you will see with people who make Twilight fan art. Like, these quotes are super popular. Then we have, these side by sides. This is Las Tapia's art, and the right side is the individual in question who goes by Lali Arts. So here, this is fan art of Barbie. So we have like exercise Barbie, like Barbie in the work outfit skating around. This is allegedly traced off of ChatGPT's AI. Here we have another one, and then over here is her with the brush. So again, it is looking kind of similar to Les Tapia's art, but you could maybe make the assumption, oh, this is possibly inspired by. There are elements that are similar, right? Like the way Luz drew Barbie standing here against a rectangular glitter background, and the glitter background's actually smaller than Barbie. So Barbie's like hair elements and feet kind of protrude a little bit to make the character look more dynamic. That is also carried through here. The way the background is drawn is really similar to the way Luz's background is drawn. The arrangement is similar, but again, you could maybe make the argument, well, these were like elements from the movie. And in the movie, Barbie was wearing these outfits. So it would kind of make sense that Lale's art, if it's also from the same movie, might also carry these similar elements. Now, again, we have two side by sides. The original is by It's Lopez, and the right side is by Lali Arts. Again, the essence is really similar, but if you want to give benefit of doubt, potentially this could be a situation where, again, inspiration was taken. Should they have given credit? Possibly, right? But maybe you could give benefit of doubt. And again, another side by side with artwork from It's Lopez and then artwork by Lali, again listed as traced from ChatGPT's AI. And this is the final side by side. This is artwork from Toshia-san, and the right side is allegedly again traced from ChatGPT's AI. The elements are pretty similar. The border is really similar. So the way the border is shaped and colored, especially the ornamental detail on the bottom, is also featured in Lalia's artwork. You could argue maybe it's inspired, but to me, it's looking pretty similar. If you were to be referencing Toshia's artwork, in my opinion, more due diligence in the framing should have been taken to make it uniquely yours, because the placement is lining up one to one, basically. The character in the middle is different, allegedly traced from ChatGPT's AI. We continue because it gets worse. So Luz writes, this started on 2021 when our followers noticed an entire account was made out of our works being traced. Artists, of course, reported everything and the account got taken down. We are not talking a couple drawings. They were 60 plus. Not only fan arts, but original pieces too. Please zoom to take a better look. Also, these are not all the stolen artworks. It's a section of the most affected artists. And we can zoom in and, oh, this is bad. This is very bad. We can look on the left side column here is original and the right side is the traced. This is one-to-one traced. They traced it and just made it look significantly worse than the original. Here we have again the roller skating Barbie, complete one-to-one trace. Here we have these side by side. Everything is traced, including the background color and the elements. Like, they couldn't be bothered to draw their own teacup and sunglasses. They moved the characters around a little bit, I guess thinking that would alleviate the tracing suspicions a little bit. This is directly traced one-to-one. Again, one-to-one. On the right column, there's again more examples. Here we have the Winx Club. Here we have this side by side here. They took liberty to, I guess, not trace everything. More side by side. Pitch Perfect. Like, they traced literally everything. One to one. Even the shadows are traced. More side by side and more side by sides. This is like one of the most egregious amounts of tracing that I've seen. And you know what? It keeps going. This one I think is actually flipped because it says original is on the left, but this one is labeled Lali Arts. I believe this one is actually the original and this is the traced one. But we can go down the list to see how identical this is. There's more. It keeps going. It truly keeps going. Like here we have full-on compositions with illustrated backgrounds, and not a single thing was changed. So this is where we can see this piece again. Remember this piece from Toshiya-san where there is the same border basically, but the center character was different? Well, here is the directly traced version actually, where they didn't change the center character and in fact just traced it, but made it look much worse. Then Luz writes, probably a day or a couple of days after that, I started getting threats on my mail and social medias. The common thing on all? My works and how I am, quote, impersonating slash copying another artist, end quote. What a coincidence. If I get threats again, I'll go straight to the police. You can look at the threats from somebody with the name Fred Dan. They threaten everything to end themselves, hop off a cliff, hurting their loved ones, themselves. They tried audio calling and were saying, stop stealing people's art, I will destroy you, and threatening to physically hurt. This is disgusting. You should never go and threaten other people. But, you know, this is just my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I am not saying this happened. I will never know. What are the odds some random person named Fred, who is super, super, super passionately involved in Lolly's artwork, decides to go on the internet and like vehemently protect their favorite artist by attacking somebody else, which again, do not do that. That is not protecting an artist. That is being an a-hole. Or is it likely that this could likely be Lolly themselves making a fake account to then go and harass this individual? Again, this is my tinfoil hat theory. Luz continues, when we thought the situation was over, another account was created to still post those trace drawings. Got called out again, then the posts were removed. Time passed and we got alerted that a new method was being used, tracing from AI. So here they're side by side. We have Luz's artwork here, and then on the right side is traced off of ChatGPT's AI. Left is the original, right is traced off of ChatGPT's AI. And there's more. This is a close-up of this piece here. Why do the kids look like that? The proof that she's tracing from AI is here. This is tally sketch work that was fed to ChatGPT to then be traced. See also the examples on the other image. There is no personal style. It's literally a replica of the results you get using ChatGPT's Disney prompt on photos you upload. Examples taken from Google. So here on the left is the original, and on the right side is the AI traced version. Allegedly AI traced, right? I have to say that. It's just interesting because the original, right, has a lot of character. All the elements make a lot of sense. It's a beautiful piece. I love the usage of the background framing and how the jellyfish tentacles kind of exceed off the page. Really, really pretty. The traced version is lacking the elements that make sense, right? Because what makes this piece really pretty is also the mermaid is wearing a lot of pearls kind of like draped across their body. And the traced version has the pearls, but the direction the pearls are going make no sense because this is traced, right? We have all these pearls draping here around the waist, and they just intersect into the arm and disappear. Like, where are the pearls going exactly? With the original version, there's kind of like a body chain that's being worn and all the pearls are hanging off the body chain, which makes sense. Here again, we have like 4 pearls on her left shoulder going nowhere. Again, odd. And the character has like the very, very generic Disney face. And here it reads, the face and body anatomy is just traced from ChatGPT's Disney prompt. And here are Google examples of ChatGPT's Disney prompt, and you can see how the faces are really similar. And they all have that same like dead look, like that dead happy look without any other expression. The AI tends to draw people in like this like muted happy expression with their eyebrows slightly raised to look kind of surprised. And you can see that in their artwork. The Luz continues, I decided to try to talk to her again. She said she was heavily inspired by me and wanted her works to look like mine. Claimed to have been practicing, that she doesn't see it as plagiarism, and we just have the same taste in movies and music. Then agreed it was a bad thing to do. Thanks to one of my followers, I was sent the screenshot. Unblocked, of course. She thinks she's only doing her version of our works. It doesn't count as stealing because it has other poses and clothes. And this is the full message in Spanish. Considering she still thinks what she did wasn't wrong, she kept going at it. Drawing from the same shows and movies, totally perfect. Redrawing our entire portfolios piece by piece. Copying poses created by us, even if they're fan arts, color palettes, compositions, frames, textures, and also feeding them to AI without consent and using them as art to get clients? Absolutely no. Liking the same thing doesn't mean the only way you have to create work is ripping off of artworks. And again, here we have the side by sides again. And this is the thing, right? Nobody is saying you can't draw stuff from the same media. They both, right, seem to enjoy the same shows, the same media. Of course, if you make fan art, you're gonna make fan art of the same movie stills, the same characters. Happens. What are the odds your frame lines up 1-to-1 to their frame? What are the odds that happens? What are the odds the poses are like extremely similar? Especially if allegedly you have a history of heavily tracing work in the past. And Luz adds, there is no way to claim this as practice either, as these are being used to get client work. Beware of people doing this, especially authors who commission them for their books or projects. That's why us artists decided to make this public. Believe when we tell you we try to deal with everything privately whenever somebody does this. To keep doing it after 4 years, we have really been patient. Again, this is not an invitation to send hate. It wasn't posted, but these are examples of It's Lopez's works traced as well. And oh boy, there's a lot. And it's like one to one again. Look at the side by side of the artworks. No liberty basically was taken to even change anything. Some of the other tracers that I've covered on my channel, they've done a little bit of changing. Still is like traced, but they'll change the hair color or this, that, or like put it in a different outfit. But there's like almost all these pieces have no changes made to it. The only changes being the art style is a little bit different because somebody else drew it. This is absurd. Luz adds, also, all image posts include several examples, so scroll through the sides as well. A commenter says, contact her parents. And I thought that too, because like this has to be the behavior of somebody who's like 12, right? Should be easy to find. She is making a mockery of artists and the effort we make to be better every time we put a pen on our canvases. And Luz says, she's an adult. I tried contacting her this past Saturday to try to solve things in private. I sent them messages to find out she blocked me. Another commenter adds, I'm so sorry this has been an ongoing problem. And Luz says, we would have kept it all private if it weren't for our works being fed to ChatGPT constantly, to be honest. Another commenter says, I'm so sorry about this. This is so unfair. I hope this stops immediately. And Luz says, thank you, dear. I don't think it will, considering people still justify this kind of action. Which, like, hey man, if you're out here justifying that it's okay for somebody to take another person's artwork, directly trace over it, and use it to try to solicit client work, your pillow might be warm on both sides for a very long time. Luz continued, we tried in all the ways, with all the patience to explain why it's wrong to take another artist's work in this way to make a commission portfolio. This was made public because being blocked again meant no way of communicating. Learning it's not an excuse because even after explaining, this kept happening again and again. Now even with AI. And Luz adds, well, people also keep defending this behavior because I think they haven't seen the extent of the situation. It will sadly encourage for this to keep happening. We demanded our artworks to be respected. We encouraged this person to keep working on their craft. We felt it was taken as a joke. And then if you go to Lolly's Instagram, they actually put out a statement 1 day ago. And if you translate this in Google, it reads, clarification note. Recently, I was accused of tracing the arts of other people and modifying AI work. I want to clarify the following. In the past, when I was still learning, I really did some studies tracing the art of others, understanding that this was something wrong within the community. I never did it. Artists with the intention of deceiving or appropriating somebody's work, but rather as a way to practice and relieve stress. After receiving explanations from professional artists, including the person who approached me, I understood the mistake. I apologize in particular, and since then, I have not returned to doing this type of practice. All the art that a person felt offended were excluded because my instinct never generated conflict. Today, all my art is the result of my own effort, study, and dedication. My sincere apologies for the misunderstanding and for those who may have felt offended or hurt. My intention has always been to learn and evolve with respect to the artistic community. And It's Lopez quote retweeted this, writing, one thing is getting inspired by somebody's artwork and another is blatantly copying their work. Please refrain from doing this. I gave up ages ago on calling out people when they do this. But if an artist tells you to stop copying their work because they don't feel comfortable with it, you have to respect that and do what you're told. If you choose to ignore it, it just shows how little respect you had in the first place and your true intentions. In the end, you're only fooling yourself. Everyone else knows and notices. And from what I could find publicly, Toshiya-san hasn't said anything about the situation. Look, man. They apologized. It's not up to me, obviously, to accept the apology. It's up to the affected parties, right? So in this case, Luz, It's Lopez, and Toshiya-san. Come on, man. Your excuse was he did it for a little bit to study. So why are there like 60 instances of you doing this and posting it publicly for people to find it? That's a lot of studying that you did tracing other people's work. Again, people sometimes debate this in the comment section of my videos, and this is at least my personal sentiment. People trace other people's artwork to learn. This is something that has been done for a very, very long time. Just don't post it publicly anywhere. Some people do this and make the excuse, well, I never said it was my own. If you post a traced work publicly, you are giving the impression that this is your original work, which is what's happening here, right? If it is allegedly for study, why are there 60 public instances of it? You know, that's the one thing where it's kind of hard to get behind because it's like, how did we get to this point, right? I'm not really believing this. You must have known and been culpable about this, especially because it's been happening for 4 years. Do you need to trace for 4 years straight to learn? Because you're not learning if you're doing this. And this is the other thing about public callouts, right? Because, like, again, if it could be resolved privately, that's definitely the best way to go about it. So you don't make like a public, debacle about the situation. But this is a situation where I think a public callout is really necessary because this is somebody who's been doing it for like 4 years. And when talked to privately, they blocked the artist. So how are they supposed to talk to you in the future? This is somebody who seemed like they had no intention to stop their behavior. So the only solution is a public call out to let people know that this is something that's been happening. So hopefully, because of all of this, they can stop tracing all of these lovely artists' work and actually use their hands to make legitimate pieces on their own. Please send love to the affected artists. I'll have them linked down below in the comment section. If you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there like emotes and overlays for streamers. I also have a coffee with free resources. I hope you guys like my sweater. I actually made this yesterday. I've been learning how to crochet, so this is like month 10 of crocheting. I just did this in the car. So yeah, yippee. But yeah, I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch y'all there or in another video.